This is Jim Williams with the Hurricane City Tropical Update for January 22nd, 10 a.m. Now, this update video is a reminder that the next Weather in the Media show will take place on February 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That's a Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And my special guest will be longtime hurricane editor for the Sun Sentinel, Ken Kay. He's been tracking hurricanes for a long time down here in South Florida, and we're going to pick his brain a little bit to see what he thinks about the upcoming hurricane season in 2012 and what it's like to be a hurricane editor and reporter. He's done a lot of stories from the Hurricane Center and global warming, the whole nine yards, so we'll pick his brain a little bit, see what he thinks. We'll take your telephone calls and emails during the show, and again, that'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Ken Kay. He'll be live on the Weather and the Media show, so don't miss it. Again, archive subscribers can always access the recorded version of that if you missed a live show. Now, I'm also working on the Hurricane City database. After each hurricane season, I'll go through all the cities in the Hurricane City database. There's about 150 different locations, and we'll recalculate based on the hurricane activity from the previous hurricane season. And this year, about one-third of all the cities and islands in the Hurricane City database were affected by a named storm, mainly from Hurricane Irene. That was the big story of the 2011 Atlantic hurricane season. But if you scroll down here on the cities page, the link is right above the tracking chart on the front page, and you get to the city database page, and you scroll through all the Caribbean cities. I'm still calculating a lot of the Caribbean cities, but there's a new feature I want to show you, and it's a bar graph on each city page. For example, let's go to Key Largo here. And Key Largo statistics pop up, and this is what I found interesting is the amount of major hurricanes that affect certain locations in the Atlantic Basin. And so far, based on the calculations I've done to this point, the most affected area by major hurricanes is Key Largo. And if you see when I zoom in here, there's the bar graph right there, and you can see here 28.85% of all named storms that affect Key Largo are major. That's far and above any other location in the Atlantic Basin, at least up to this point. I still have to calculate a lot of the Bahama Islands and some of the other Caribbean islands, so there may be some islands that get affected by more majors than Key Largo, but so far Key Largo leads the race here at 28.85% of all named storms end up being major. Most cities are down around 5 to 10%. So this is quite, if you ever wanted to experience a major hurricane, you'd have to head down to the Northern Keys. That's the most likely area to be affected by major hurricanes. And we've also added the hurricane to tropical storm ratio here, and this tells you how many hurricanes to tropical storms hit any affected area. For example, here in Key Largo, 35% of all storms are tropical storms and 63% are hurricanes. So again, a very high hurricane to tropical storm ratio. And there are some areas in the Atlantic Basin that get hit by far more tropical storms than hurricanes. So this is a really interesting stat as well. But anyway, we keep adding things to the database, so check these pages out. And again, you scroll down, you can get a lot of past storms, and you click on the links, you can get newspaper headlines and radar shots, and you can get model runs to see how each storm was handled by the models, at least the modern day storms. Anyway, this is all in the Hurricane City database, a work in progress. Once I'm finished with this, I'll begin to calculate the ranking system, which is a whole other page with all the cities and islands that are affected by named storms, who gets affected most, and the rankings will be adjusted to include the 2011 hurricane season. That'll be in a few weeks from now. I don't have time to get to that right now. But once again, reminder, Ken Kay, Sun Sentinel, February 1st, wealth of hurricane information. We've done a lot of stories on hurricanes over the years. We'll talk to him at 8 p.m. on Wednesday, February 1st, Wednesday at 8 p.m. That's it for now. Thank you again for visiting Hurricane City.